Our first lesson in sunflower studies is on emotional awareness. What is emotional self-awareness? Emotional self-awareness is the ability to understand your own emotions. You can become emotionally aware as you learn to recognize and name your emotions, which includes increasing your emotional vocabulary. Emotional awareness is the ability to understand the causes of your emotions by observing yourself, your behavior, your physiological feelings, your reactions. It's the ability to manage your emotions, including adjusting your emotions or consciously shifting them from unpleasant emotions to pleasant emotions, and controlling your own behavior. An emotionally aware person has the ability to read emotions in others, have empathy towards them, and help others adjust their emotions. Why should you develop emotional self-awareness? The main reason is to be better able to manage your emotions. It is important to control your emotions instead of letting them control you. When you develop awareness, you can see how your emotions affect you and those around you. You can see what causes your emotions and how they impact your actions. Emotional intelligence, or EQ, can also increase your feelings of self-worth. And it is now considered that EQ is a better predictor of success in the workforce than IQ. So what is an emotion? You're familiar with emotions. You feel them all the time. It's a natural part of being human. Do not judge yourself for having emotions. Emotions should not be categorized as good and bad, but as pleasant and unpleasant, because there is nothing wrong with experiencing an unpleasant emotion. Emotions are part of a chain. They are a response to a stimulus. It starts with an event, the stimulus, then your interpretation of the event, or the story you tell yourself about what happened based on your past experiences and your way of thinking. Then your body responds with a physiological feeling. This leads to the emotion, and from there, the emotion causes your actions and behaviors in response. Here are some examples. Your boss yells at someone. That's the event. Your brain interprets the yelling, and your body has the feeling of sweating and your heart pounding. And then your emotion is anxiety, which leads to the behavior of you quietly slip back into your cubicle away from your boss. Another example, you find candy on your desk. That is the event or the stimulus. Your brain interprets this and realizes someone left you a treat. Your mouth produces saliva, and the corners of your mouth turn up, so that's your physiological feeling. You experience happiness as your emotion, and your behavior is to smile at the next person you see. What about if the event is a loud noise? Your interpretation of that event is based on your past experience and maybe things that are going on right now. So if right now it's the 4th of July, you might assume that a loud noise is fireworks. But it is your interpretation of that event that leads to your emotion. The example I gave in class was that anytime my boss would shut her office door, the story I would tell myself would lead to the emotion of panic. So my experience was that closed door meetings were bad. So anytime she closed the door, I would start having trouble breathing, and my heart would be racing and my mind would be going crazy. Is she getting fired? Am I getting fired? Are they shutting down the company? All this stuff. And I would be in a panic. Eventually, that changed. It wasn't really my own efforts that changed it, but the company changed to where we have something called coaching. And my boss is required to meet with each of us privately on a regular basis. So now, when that door shuts, instead of going to panic, I just move on, because the story I tell myself now is, oh, she must be in a coaching session. So when you can change the story you're telling yourself about whatever it is that triggered your emotion, you can change the emotion. So these are some emotion words. There are a lot of them. In fact, Oxford University has done research and decided that there are 34,000 different emotions. So developing your emotional vocabulary can increase your emotional awareness. You might only have a limited vocabulary of types of emotions, but when you think about it, or actually increase your vocabulary and your understanding, you will be able to refine that a little more. So maybe you're feeling sadness and you start investigating it a little more and realize that maybe it's actually loneliness that is making you sad or something like that. There is an app that I recommend. You are not required to get it, of course. It does cost about $1. It helps you identify your emotions. This app, Mood Meter, was developed by the Center for Emotional Intelligence at Yale University. I mentioned Oxford University. They do also have an app. It's $2, but it is kind of confusing. It's not as user-friendly. So I like Mood Meter. It helps you identify your emotions or moods and notice trends in them, and it will also increase that emotional vocabulary. Mood Meter has a set of emotions arranged in a quadrant divided by pleasant and unpleasant, left and right, and high energy and low energy, top and bottom. So an emotion located in the top right quadrant is high energy pleasant, and something in the bottom left is low energy unpleasant. So you will click on the first screen in Mood Meter, which I didn't put a picture up here, but you click around on those dots that you see until you find the emotion that fits your current feelings or mood or emotion. So this one, the upper right, again, is pleasant, high energy. So here are some examples: cheerful, inspired, happy, proud. Each one of those dots is a different emotion word. Some other examples: the green is low energy, pleasant, and that has things like satisfied, restful, grateful, thoughtful, peaceful. Bottom left is low energy, unpleasant. This includes discouraged, disheartened, depressed, sullen, sad. And then the high energy, unpleasant is things like anger, frustration, irritation. After you decide which of the emotions best fits your current mood, you can add an explanation. So you can say, I'm feeling, in this case, enthusiastic because, and you type the reason for your feeling. You can set notifications to remind you at regular times. I currently have mine set at 5:30 and 9:30 p.m., and it just pops up a silent little reminder on my phone. After you have selected your emotion and added an explanation if you choose to, it will have a screen that allows you to adjust your emotions. You can choose if you want to stay in the current quadrant or if you want to shift to one of the other quadrants. So if you select to shift, it will take you to a screen specifically for that quadrant, and it will have a list of some of the previous reasons you've had for feeling an emotion in that area, some ideas to move you into that quadrant of emotions, some motivational quotes, some pictures. You can also add your own, which is kind of cool. It has a report section where you can see a very distorted pie chart, basically, of what quadrants you're in by percentage. And you can see a list of your emotions and reasons in each quadrant. How can you increase your emotional awareness? Increase your self-awareness by observing your emotions, the triggers, and your behaviors. Pause when you feel a strong emotion. Experience your reactions and try to understand them. Observe your physical responses. What is your body saying? And then work on adjusting unpleasant emotions to more pleasant ones. Over the past week before this class session, I monitored my emotions just to see what it would be. It was very interesting to do that on a week when, before I'm starting teaching this course, I'm extremely stressed. I did have some observations. I realized that certain people trigger certain emotions. So there's one person where my instant response is intense jealousy. I also realized that my most common emotions at work are frustration and annoyance. So, okay, I figured out what my emotional trends are. I figured out that I'm frustrated and annoyed at work a lot. What do I do with that? Do I just think, okay, I don't like my job? What I did in this case is looked at it and thought, okay, these situations are causing me to be frustrated. I'm going to keep having these frustrations. What can I do to plan ahead to calm myself down when those situations occur so that eventually my frustration either won't be as strong or I'll have a different emotion in response. Some ways, for you to increase your emotional awareness, some ideas: slow down and just pay attention to your emotions. Observe them. Observe how your body feels or how you respond. Identify your triggers. Name your emotions. That's that emotional vocabulary. When you're better able to identify what emotion you're feeling, you're better able to handle it. It's also important that you accept your emotions without judgment. I also would recommend you don't stifle your emotions. It is okay to feel your emotions, even the unpleasant ones. As unpleasant as that is, it's okay. If you stifle your emotions, it can actually cause a lot of emotional and physical problems. So it's better to learn to feel them, handle them, and basically move on with life, I guess. Here are some techniques for dealing with strong, unpleasant emotions. Take a deep breath. Talk yourself down from that unpleasant emotion. I do that a lot. Take a drink of water, move, even just shifting your position. All of these things will help you handle strong, unpleasant emotions. The rest of this course will have some techniques that will help with this as well. One thing I would recommend, it's kind of hard to accept the idea that an emotion is something you can control, but it is. And as you get more emotionally aware, you will be better able to control your emotions. But one thing you can do is think of an emotion you want to feel tomorrow, and then plan some little thing that will cause that emotion. For example, if I want to feel peace tomorrow, I know that going outside barefoot on the lawn brings me peace. So I will plan tomorrow to go outside and stand on the lawn for a while. If you want to feel laughter or joy or something like that, what can you do that's really simple that can cause that emotion, even just briefly? So think about an emotion you want to feel tomorrow, and then plan to do something to cause that emotion in your life. It's actually a really powerful feeling to plan to cause a pleasant emotion. One final note: notice your emotions without judging them. Part of emotional intelligence is learning to have empathy for others. You also need to practice empathy for yourself. Now, at the end of each class, I will give you a handout that has some of the information we covered in class, And we'll also have a challenge for the week. This week, my challenge for you is to notice your emotions during the week. What physical feelings do you have related to that emotion? What triggers the emotions? What are your behaviors in response to the emotions? You can write these down, use an app, or just try to become more conscious. Text me or email me with an observation you have during the week of observing your emotions. My phone number and my school email address are on this slide. They're also on the course schedule handout that I gave you or should have given you. Anyway, that concludes lesson 1. Thank you for learning about emotional intelligence.